What if everything you think you know about spy training is a carefully constructed lie? What if the real process of creating a secret agent has nothing to do with fancy cars and exploding pens? Not everything to do with breaking down the human mind and rebuilding it into something else entirely. Right now, as you're watching this, there are people living complete double lives. They have fake names, fabricated pasts, and secrets that could topple governments. But how are they created? What does it really take to become a human intelligence weapon? Before we expose the truth behind how spies are trained, the psychological breaking, the brutal survival programs, the gadgets they actually use, I need to know something. Where in the world are you joining this investigation from right now, and what time is it there? Drop a comment and let me map our global network of truth seekers. And if you're ready to go deep down the rabbit hole to understand how ordinary people are transformed into elite intelligence operatives, then do this right now. Hit that like button, subscribe, and slam the notification bell. This is your all-access pass to the world they never wanted you to see. What you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about espionage. We've all seen the movies. The suave hero, the high-speed chase, the gadget-laden lair. But the truth is far more terrifying and far more fascinating. The real training of a spy is a psychological crucible designed to create the perfect human intelligence weapon. Someone who can lie to anyone, withstand anything, and disappear into a crowd without a trace. This isn't about becoming a superhero. It's about becoming a ghost. The first and most critical myth we need to shatter is the very image of a spy. James Bond is a liability. Jason Bourne would be detected in minutes. The most valuable intelligence asset isn't a muscle-bound martial arts expert or a charming socialite. The perfect spy is, for all intents and purposes, unremarkable. They are the person you sit next to on the bus, the accountant who never takes a sick day, the quiet academic who keeps to themselves. Intelligence agencies aren't looking for flashy action heroes. They are hunting for exceptional liars with ordinary faces. The primary qualification is the ability to blend in, to be utterly forgettable, while possessing a mind capable of incredible duplicity and resilience. So, how do they find these human chameleons? The selection process is a brutal, multi-layered psychological assault designed to weed out 99% of applicants. It begins with the initial profiling. Agencies like the CIA, MI6, and Mossad don't just put out job ads. They engage in a process called talent spotting. They target individuals within specific fields: linguists, engineers, economists, journalists, and even graduate students who have access to valuable information or who possess a unique skill set. They look for people at a crossroads in their lives, those who may be susceptible to an approach, driven by ideology, money, or a simple thirst for adventure. Once a potential candidate is identified, they are subjected to a battery of psychological evaluations that would make a corporate HR department shudder. These aren't simple personality tests. These are deep, probing examinations designed to uncover every psychological vulnerability, every character flaw, every hidden trauma. They use everything from extensive clinical interviews to bizarre psychometric tests that analyze reaction times to stressful stimuli. They are looking for a very specific and contradictory profile. Someone who is highly intelligent but can appear average, emotionally stable but capable of feigning any emotion, fiercely independent but able to follow orders without question, and morally flexible yet utterly loyal to the agency. Then comes the full field investigation. This is where they tear your life apart to put it back together. Teams of investigators will interview every significant person from your past: your kindergarten teacher, your high school girlfriend, your college roommates, your former colleagues. They are constructing a psychological map of your entire existence, looking for inconsistencies, vulnerabilities, or any hidden secrets that could be used to blackmail you later. If you have a drinking problem, a hidden debt, or a secret relationship, they will find it, and they will use it to ensure your compliance. The goal is to own you completely. The final stage of selection is often a series of realistic high-stress scenarios. Candidates might be taken to a safe house and subjected to intense, hostile interrogation, even though they are still just applicants. They might be given an impossible task with limited resources and watched to see how they problem solve under pressure. Do they crack? Do they get creative? Do they blame others? This is the ultimate test of their operational potential. The entire selection process is designed to answer one fundamental question. Can we trust this person to live a lie for years, perhaps decades, and never, ever break character? Can we transform this ordinary individual into a flawless instrument of state power? The selected few, the 1% who make it through this grueling filter, are not celebrated. They are not given a medal. They are simply ushered through a door that closes behind them, forever separating them from their old lives. Their former identity is effectively dead. And the even more brutal process of building their new one, forging them into a fully operational intelligence asset, is just beginning. This is where we cross the threshold from selection to transformation, and the real psychological breaking begins. We've passed through the first gate. We've identified the rare, unremarkable individuals who possess the raw potential for espionage. But raw potential is useless. A block of marble is not a statue. Now, we enter the most secretive and psychologically brutal phase of spy training, the construction of what I call the mind fortress. This is where the person is systematically broken down and rebuilt. Their old identity, their old morals, their old ways of thinking, all of it is stripped away to be replaced with a new, impenetrable psyche, and a fabricated life, a legend so watertight it can withstand the scrutiny of hostile intelligence services. Forget learning to shoot. First, you must learn to become someone else, down to your very soul. The cornerstone of this new identity is the legend. A legend is not a simple alias. It is an entire fabricated life, with a depth and history that would fool a biographer. Trainees spend months, sometimes years, building and inhabiting their legend. It has a birthplace, a childhood, an educational background, a career history, likes, dislikes, and even fabricated emotional scars. They are taught to not just recite this story, but to inhabit it. They learn to dream in their legend, to react instinctively with its history. Every detail is meticulously researched and backstopped with fake documents, online footprints, and even corroborating friends who are, in reality, other intelligence officers. A single misplaced detail, mentioning a restaurant that closed before your legend arrived in the city, or using a slang term that wasn't common in your legend's hometown, can mean exposure, imprisonment, or death. But a perfect backstory is useless if the person cannot lie flawlessly. This brings us to the second pillar, the art of deception. This goes far beyond simply telling an untruth. Trainees are schooled in the science of lying. They work with psychologists to understand and control their micro-expressions, the involuntary split-second facial movements that betray true emotion. They are drilled for hours on maintaining consistent eye contact, body language, and vocal tone that aligns with their lie. They learn to embed their lies in layers of truth, making them virtually undetectable. The goal is to make the lie so seamless, so integrated into their persona, that a polygraph machine, which measures stress, registers nothing because the speaker believes the lie on a subconscious level. They are not learning to be good liars. They are learning to become their lies. To support this immense psychological load, they are trained in extraordinary memory techniques. A spy must be a walking database. They are taught advanced mnemonics to instantly memorize complex sequences of numbers, entire blueprints, faces from a crowded room, or pages of text after a single glance. They might use the method of loci, visualizing a familiar place and placing items they need to remember along a path through it. But just as crucially, they are trained in the art of forgetting. They learn mental exercises to compartmentalize and dump sensitive information immediately after it is used, creating a mental firewall. If captured, they cannot reveal what they do not actively remember. This ability to control their own memory is a superpower that separates them from every other person on the planet. All of this requires a constant, exhausting state of awareness. This is the fourth pillar: operational security, OPSEC, and paranoia. Trainees are taught that everyone is a potential threat. Every situation is a potential trap. This is not paranoia as a mental illness. It is paranoia as a professional tool. They learn the three-circle theory of trust. The innermost circle is yourself, the next circle is your handler, and the entire rest of the world, including your family and closest friends from your old life, exists in the untrustworthy outer circle. They practice detecting surveillance, learning the subtle signs of a multi-team box surveillance operation. They are taught to constantly scan their environment for anomalies. A van that's been parked too long, the same face in two different locations, a street vendor who doesn't know his merchandise. This hypervigilance becomes second nature, a constant low-grade hum in the back of their minds that never, ever turns off. This is where the human mind is pushed to its absolute limits. We're talking about fundamentally rewiring a person's identity, memory, and perception of reality. What part of this psychological training do you find most shocking or fascinating? Is it the creation of a full legend, the training to beat a polygraph, or the controlled paranoia? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective is a crucial part of this investigation. The psychological training of a spy is a form of controlled schizophrenia. It creates a person who can hold two or more conflicting identities in their mind at once, switching between them as easily as changing a coat, all while maintaining a calm, analytical exterior. It is a brutal, often dehumanizing process that sacrifices the individual's core identity on the altar of state security. The person who entered this training is gone. What is beginning to emerge is a highly sophisticated intelligence instrument, but a sharp mind is only one tool in the box. A spy, even a psychological masterpiece, is useless without the physical tools and techniques to operate in the field. They need to communicate, to observe, to survive. And that is where we head next, into the world of real-world tradecraft. Gadgets, and the dirty practical skills that keep a spy alive in a hostile environment. The transition from the mind to the hands is where theory meets life-or-death practice. We have witnessed the forging of the mind, the creation of a human instrument capable of unparalleled deception and mental fortitude. But a sharp mind, no matter how well trained, is vulnerable alone in the field. It needs tools. It needs techniques. It needs what the intelligence community calls tradecraft. This is where we move from the internal world of the psyche to the external, dirty, and hyper-practical world of spy work. Forget the invisible cars and laser watches of Hollywood. The real world of spy gadgets and tradecraft is far more ingenious, subtle, and deadly serious. A single mistake here isn't a failed test. It's a bullet, a prison cell, or the collapse of a multi-year intelligence operation. Let's start with the most critical and most dangerous part of the job: covert communication. How does an agent in a hostile country send a message without being detected? The methods are a fascinating blend of ancient technique and cutting-edge technology. First, the classics, the dead drop. You've probably heard of it. But the reality is a masterclass in precision and paranoia. A dead drop is a hidden location where information or items can be left for another agent to retrieve later without the two ever meeting. But it's not just putting a message under a rock. The location, or hide, is chosen with immense care. It must be accessible, unremarkable, and offer natural surveillance points. The agent placing the item, the loader, will use a discrete signal. A chalk mark on a wall, a piece of tape on a lamppost to indicate the drop is live. The retrieving agent, the picker, will use a different, pre-arranged signal to confirm the pickup has been made. All while a third agent, the cover, watches from a distance to ensure the operation isn't being surveilled. A single dead drop can involve days of planning and multiple officers, all to pass a single memory card or a roll of microfilm. Then there's the brush pass. This is a high-stakes ballet performed in a crowded street market or a busy subway station. Two agents walk toward each other, and in the split second they pass, a newspaper, shopping bag, or identical briefcase is exchanged. The skill is in the flawless choreography, the timing, the body language that blocks the view, the absolute naturalness of the movement. There is no hesitation, no eye contact. It's over in a heartbeat. Trainees practice this for hundreds of hours, often with weighted objects, until the motion is as natural as breathing. But this is the 21st century. While these physical methods are still vital, digital tradecraft is now paramount. This is where agents are trained in digital steganography, the art of hiding a message within another, innocent-looking file. A vacation photo posted online might contain the blueprints for a nuclear facility embedded in its code. An innocent-looking comment on a social media post might be a coded message using a pre-arranged cipher. They also use burst transmission technology, devices that can compress and send vast amounts of encrypted data in a transmission that lasts for less than a second, making it nearly impossible to trace or intercept. The gadgets for this are not flashy. They are often built into everyday items: a modified car key fob, a standard-looking USB charger, or a seemingly normal smartphone with a custom-built secondary operating system. This constant communication requires constant vigilance, which brings us to the art of surveillance and counter-surveillance. Trainees don't just learn how to follow people. They learn how to be followed and how to know when they are. They master the box technique for detecting a tail. Imagine walking a route that forms a square or a circle. You take a series of turns, get on and off public transportation, and double back on your path. Anyone who appears more than once during this route is likely surveillance. They are taught to use windows, the reflective surface of a store window or a car mirror, to observe people behind them without turning their head. They learn to spot the tells of a surveillance team, the person who is too interested in their phone, the couple having a forced conversation, the driver who takes all the same wrong turns you do. This extends to anti-facial recognition techniques. They are trained to alter their gait, to use clothing and hats that break up the facial silhouette, and even to employ specialized makeup and glasses that can fool the most advanced algorithms. In an age of ubiquitous cameras, disappearing isn't about invisibility. It's about becoming a different person to the digital eye. And yes, there are gadgets, the real-world Q branch. But the philosophy is the opposite of Hollywood. The best gadget is one that is utterly mundane. Some of the most effective tools in history have been concealment devices, a hollowed-out coin, fake rock, a modified toothpaste tube, or a cavity in a sole of a shoe. The goal is to be so boring that no one thinks to look twice. Covert audio, video, miniaturized cameras hidden in buttons, pens, or wristwatches. Directional microphones that can pick up a conversation from hundreds of yards away. Non-lethal weapons. A pen that is actually a high-voltage stun device. A credit card with a razor-sharp edge. A belt that can be used as a garrote. Weapons of last resort, designed for escape, not combat. All of this tradecraft, the communication, the surveillance, the gadgets, is about one thing: reducing the agent's signature, making them a ghost in the machine, an unnoticeable blur in the crowd. They are taught to leave no trace, to create no memory in the people they pass. They are trained to be so ordinary, so methodical, and so aware that they can operate in plain sight, invisible to everyone except the one person they are there to meet. But what happens when it all goes wrong? When the surveillance is detected, the communication is compromised, and the agent is in the crosshairs. All the psychological training and clever gadgets mean nothing if you can't survive a direct confrontation, an interrogation, or being hunted in the wilderness. That is the final, most brutal test, and it's where we are going next. This is where it ends. Or where it begins. We have journeyed through the psychological forge where identities are remade. We have explored the toolbox of Tradecraft that allows an agent to operate in plain sight. But all of that, the perfect legend, the flawless deception, the ingenious gadgets, is theoretical until it is tested under fire. All of it can be rendered useless in a single catastrophic moment. A blown cover, a compromised meeting, a betrayal. When that moment comes, the spy is utterly alone. There is no backup, no cavalry is coming. Their survival depends on what happens next. This final phase of training is not about learning to be a spy. It is about learning to survive as one. It is the ultimate crucible, designed to answer one terrifying question. When everything is taken from you, what remains? We begin in the wilderness. This is where they learn that nature is the most impartial and most merciless enemy of all. Seer, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. This is the infamous training program, originally developed by the U.S. military but adopted and intensified by intelligence agencies for their deep cover operatives. The survival phase is a brutal crash course in primitive living. Trainees are dumped in a hostile environment, the frozen forests of Scandinavia, the arid deserts of the Middle East, the dense jungles of Southeast Asia with little more than the clothes on their back. They are taught to find water where there is none, to build shelter from nothing, to hunt and trap using improvised tools. They learn which plants are edible and which will kill them in agony. They are pushed to the absolute physical limit, operating on minimal calories and sleep, until their body is a raw nerve and their mind is stripped of all but the most primal instinct. Endure, but survival is only the first step. The real goal is to remain free. This is the evasion phase. Now, they are not just surviving the elements. They are being hunted by expert trackers. Often former Special Forces soldiers, using dogs, drones, and all the technology at their disposal. The trainees learn to move like ghosts. They are taught to walk in a way that leaves no discernible footprints, to mask their scent using mud and natural oils, to navigate using the stars without a map or compass. They learn the art of hide sights, not just hiding, but concealing themselves in a position where they can observe their pursuers without being seen. Sometimes for days on end, motionless through rain and cold. This is a test of patience and nerve unlike any other. The slightest cough, the glint of a watch face, a snapped twig means capture. And capture in this training is not the end. It is the beginning of the hell known as the resistance phase. This is the darkest and most controversial part of a spy's education. Because if an agent is captured by a hostile intelligence service, they will be tortured. There are no exceptions. There is no Geneva Convention in the shadows. The training for this is as real as it can be without causing permanent physical damage. Trainees are subjected to simulated captivity that is designed to break them. They are hooded, stripped of their clothes, and thrown into cold, filthy cells. They are subjected to relentless white noise and disorienting strobe lights. They are deprived of sleep for days. They are placed in stress positions for hours on end, forced to stand or kneel, in agonizing postures until their muscles scream and their minds begin to hallucinate. Then, the interrogations begin. Highly trained interrogators, experts in psychological warfare, will work on them. They will use every technique in the book. The good cop, bad cop routine. A classic because it preys on the human need for a protector. Isolation and solitary confinement, which can break a strong mind faster than any physical torture. Forced confessions, making them sign documents admitting to crimes they didn't commit, creating a psychological lever for further compliance. The Mutt and Jeff technique, where one interrogator feigns friendship and offers a way out, while another threatens horrific consequences. The goal of this brutal simulation is not to teach them how to withstand torture. anyone can break given enough time and pain. The goal is to teach them how to manage the breaking. They are taught to build a mental fortress inside their own mind. A place they can retreat to, a memory, a person, a belief that the interrogators cannot touch. They are trained to reveal only pre-prepared, plausible, but ultimately useless pieces of information. What is known as chicken feed. The art is to give up just enough to make the torture stop, to make the interrogators believe they are succeeding without compromising a true asset or a critical piece of intelligence. They learn to build a false narrative and surrender it piece by piece, all while protecting the core secrets locked away in their mental vault. This training shows them the absolute bottom of human experience, so that if they ever hit it for real, they will know they have been there before and they survived. But before they are ever captured, they must be able to fight. The combat training of a spy is not about winning a duel. It is about creating a window of escape, or eliminating a threat with maximum efficiency and minimum noise. This is not the choreographed kung fu of the movies. This is what former Mossad operatives call applied violence. They are trained in systems like Krav Maga for Israeli agents or Systema for Russian Spetsnaz and intelligence officers. These are not sports. There are no rules. The philosophy is simple and brutal. Neutralize the threat by any means necessary, as quickly as possible, and escape. The training is shockingly direct. They are taught to target the body's most vulnerable points: the eyes, throat, groin, and knees. They learn to use everyday objects as weapons: a pen to stab, a newspaper rolled up to strike the throat, a key to gouge. They practice disarming an attacker with a knife or a gun, not through complex maneuvers, but through explosive, overwhelming aggression designed to shock the attacker and create a single second to run or to counterkill. One of the most critical skills is defensive and evasive driving. This goes far beyond a high-speed chase. Trainees learn how to perform a J-turn, spinning a car 180 degrees to rapidly change direction. They practice the pit precision immobilization technique maneuver to force another vehicle off the road. They learn how to ram through blockades, how to drive on blown tires, and how to lose a tail in dense urban traffic by exploiting back alleys and parking garages. The car is not just transport. It is a weapon and a shield. All of this, the survival, the evasion, the resistance, the combat, culminates in a final cumulative exercise. It is a days-long ordeal that throws the trainee into a fully simulated operational environment. They are given a mission in a hostile city populated by role players and hostile counterintelligence forces. They must use their legend, their tradecraft, their surveillance detection, and their physical skills to make contact with an asset, pass information, and exfiltrate, all while being actively hunted. Sleep deprivation, constant psychological pressure, and unexpected crises are injected into the scenario. Many fail. Their legend cracks under pressure. They are caught in a surveillance net. They make a fatal mistake during a brush pass. Those who succeed are different. The person who walks out of that final exercise is not the same person who began the training months or years before. The old identity is not just buried. It is gone. The paranoia is now a permanent operating system. The ability to lie is as natural as speech. The knowledge of violence is a cold, hard fact in their mind. They have looked into the abyss of captivity and know its face. They are no longer trainees. They are no longer who they used to be. They are now a living, breathing instrument of their government, a ghost with a passport, a weapon with a smile. They are given a new name, a new history, and a single silent directive: go and do not get caught. This journey into the hidden world of spy training reveals the immense psychological and physical cost of a life in the shadows. These are not superheroes. They are human beings who have been remade for a nearly impossible task. The world of espionage is vast, and we have only scratched the surface. To continue this investigation with us, to uncover the stories of specific missions, the gadgets that changed history, and the double agents who walked the finest line. Your mission is clear. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. The untold files are waiting. The truth is our only objective.